This is Good Game Edmonton. I'm Cory, Sellarcast Sellar. According to many, Alberta has always had elite Smash Bros, but the local tournament scene hasn't always matched that level compared to other provinces. Today's guest saw that gap, and instead of waiting for someone else to fix it, they built something. I got Ethan Horkulak, one of the co-founders of French Bread Gaming, an organization built to grow Super Smash Bros. Ultimate competition right here in the City of Champions. Good to have you here, Ethan. Thanks for joining me.
It's very good to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, like you said, I noticed there was a gap. Edmonton used to have the biggest locals in the world. We used to have 200 plus weekly events. Things that would be considered like higher level regionals now were just our weekly status quo. And ever since COVID, things really died down. There was a lot of people stepping away from the scene, not really doing things to help grow the fighting game communities. FBG was to fill that gap.
And you haven't done it by yourself, obviously. You've had a team to make this happen. Before French Bread Gaming was that registered org, what did those early days look like specifically? Kind of walk me through that beginning, that founding story, so to speak.
Well, FBG was started with a group of my high school friends. We called ourselves French Bread as like a community name, just the 7 of us from high school. And 3 of us, specifically me, Eric Quaz, and our friend Cameron Berg, we split off to create this organization in order to facilitate something that we loved, which was competitive Smash Bros. We since branched into more fighting games, but yeah, competitive Smash is where our love is at. Since then, we've just gotten more community members to join our ranks. We have one of our event TOs, Bradley Codner. He's been imperative, our social media manager, Alex Goebel, and his girlfriend in our HR, Roy. We've created a incredible community and company through this, and we just want to grow esports here in Alberta and Edmonton specifically.
No, I love that. Growing the space, obviously, taking a look through my research before this recording, obviously on the Edmonton Chamber profile that you guys got online, there was some pretty stark numbers that I saw that was rather interesting. Looking back at 2024, obviously a little bit older numbers, a little out of date, but looking at those, Ontario was at 2,050, BC at 1,250, Alberta at 264, Edmonton at 51. In terms of numbers wise on the board. Attendees. Now in 2025, more recently, of course, Alberta around 397, Edmonton at 207. You talk about that gap again. We still see a gap there.
Yeah.
But obviously, you did something about it. You wanted to fix it. Obviously, when specifically was that point where you're like, we need to do something?
So I had a realization in early 2024. I had just lost my job. I had been going through a lot of personal changes and stuff like that. And I needed some sort of hobby to do. And like I said, I love competitive Smash Bros. I've been a viewer of the community for years. I was like, okay, well, I want to go to these big events, but it's hard for someone who lives in Alberta. Sure, there's BC, which is close, that has like 1,500 people, but like to get all the way to Toronto, to get into the US and stuff like that for these big events, it's like difficult for a lot of people here in Western Canada to be able to attend a lot of these. So I wanted to bring something local. I know Edmonton has the population, the drive to support it, and I have always felt a call to entertain. So it's kind of been my goal since then to try to get these numbers up, to run these 1,000 people events in order to play the game that I love with the community that I love.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, I guess when over that time, I mean, where were you going to try and make this happen in those earlier days to fill that gap and to try things out? Where was it starting in terms of location, in terms of place, in terms of gathering, coming together to do this? Obviously it's a little bit scattered. People are doing it either at home, obviously during the 2020, 2021, a lot of online stuff from home, but going out in the community to see one another and to kind of build this as French Bread Gaming, where were you guys showing up at?
What we were doing is I started me and Eric together, we started attending events that were around the thing and telling people, hey, this is what we want to do. This is our plan. What steps should we be taking? We figured the best way to serve the community is to ask the community.
Right.
So they told us to start with a local event. They had just lost one of their university events that happened on Wednesdays. The McEwen Smash events were no longer running, and they needed something to fill that gap. So together, me and Eric, we found a community hall through a mutual friend that we have. They part of the community hall association there, and we were able to rent from them for the first couple events. And we just had little 16, 15, sometimes even 9-person events in this community hall. Of the 10 events we ran in that community hall, we made money on one of them.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's more or less started in the community hall. As far as the group, did everyone just sort of come together when you guys were at the community hall, and then from there kind of branched out?
The current group, how that all worked is when we were at the community hall, there were a couple regulars that started coming that we became pretty close with pretty quick. And we realized that we're going to need someone who is already deep in the community, who knows what they're doing and is confident and wants to be a part. So we reached out to a couple people of those regulars, and the standout was Bradley. He was the first person to join us after our formation, and he was our community liaison, still is, but he's still just an event TO and just a incredible organizer. So that's how we found him, just people who started coming to the events. And then I'm going to jump ahead in time a little bit here. We got a offer from the Canadian Icehouse to start operating our weeklies out of there.
Nice. That's the one downtown.
Yes.
In Ice District there. Yeah.
That is we're still there to this day, every week.
Still there. Okay.
Yep. Oh, how that happened was when we were looking for a venue for our first bread basket. We went on this book venue website that I just found by Googling venues Edmonton. I don't even remember what it was. And one of the check marks when applying for a venue was allow other venues to reach out to me about my event. And I figured, why not?
Why not?
So I checked it, and the Ice House offered for us to run in there for a price I couldn't refuse compared to any other venue. And they said, let's run our weeklies in there. We could run our large event in there. That it can fit the hundreds of people we're expecting. So yeah, they've been very good to us. And we ran a Christmas party there with a bunch of catered food and stuff like that. And I alluded to the McEwen events before. The old TO from that event was Alex Goebel. And he came to that Christmas party, saw what we were doing, loved what we were doing, and said, how can I help? In any capacity, how can I help? So we had him start coming to the weeklies, just running brackets off his Steam Deck. He started bringing other fighting games into our midst, and we've been enjoying that. And we've just added him to the board as of a month ago.
Love that. Things come together, people that were starting things before, things that fizzled out. It seems that there always seems to be a way of people coming back and wanting to do something in a version 2, version 3 of an iteration of something, and seems like you're really rallying a lot of folks. So that's really exciting. Talk about moments like that. Since you started, what's been the biggest milestone that you have encountered through French Bread Gaming? That moment where you looked around, you looked at the team, and you thought, this is actually working. Like this is it.
It was last year's bread basket, 2025 bread basket. We had we hit over 200 attendees. That was the 207 attendees I was telling you about. The day of, I looked around, I saw all of these players that I had looked up to for years attending my event, and it was near the end. It was during top 8. I had someone run up to me, and they go, Hungrybox is watching your stream right now. Larry Lurr is watching your stream right now. There were big names watching my event that I put on. I was entertaining thousands of people at that moment. And after it was all said and done, everyone coming up to me saying we had a great time. The one guy giving me shots of Fireball all day.
That's
I played my first set that day on nothing but a single sip of Fireball and a double rum and Coke. I lost.
I always thought that would give me liquid courage, but
no, I had to play the best player in all of Saskatchewan He's very good. Shout out to Nadia if you're watching. But no, it was a great day. Very emotional at the end of it. A lot of hugs, a lot of crying. So thankful for everyone who was with me through that, and then thankful for the brew house for able to give us their venue for that. That was the first time I was like, we made it.
Love it. No, I love that. You talk about the folks around you, the support, that's there at the event and stuff. But I'm curious, talking about that togetherness of everything, family, friends. What have they've had to say to all of this, of what you're doing with this team? What's been their support been like, their reactions, their feedback to all of this as you've gone along up until this point?
Well, from at least what people have been telling me, I don't know
Yeah.
what they say behind closed doors, but everyone has been extremely thankful for the community that we've kind of fostered and the attention we're bringing to the Edmonton scene. There is like quite a few people in the community now who I would call more than friends to their family at this point. It's just been like they welcomed me with open arms, which they do to everyone. This is
Mm,
something I love about the community. You
yeah.
can walk into literally last night. Today's Thursday, right?
Yeah. We're
Yeah, last
recording
night.
Thursday. Yeah.
Yes.
Wednesday.
Last night at Wednesday, we had someone walk in who had just moved to Edmonton from Kelowna. He hadn't registered for the tournament or whatever. He's just like, hey, I heard there was an event happening. And there were three different people who were like, I'll play friendlies with you. Let's hang out. What character do you play? That you weren't even a part of my company. They just want to make people feel welcomed. So
Love
I've
that.
been welcomed with open arms. People absolutely love and support the events that we do. I have people driving from Saskatoon, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, just to come to my stuff because they love what I'm doing with the community.
That's
And I'm
amazing.
so thankful for them.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Like, you have an extended family by association with all of this.
Hmm.
That's great. Yeah, it's just growing and just surrounding yourself with that support system to grow this, not just individually, but as a group, obviously. But
Yeah.
no, that's
Something
awesome.
I want to touch on with that, with this extended family thing, is
Yeah.
the responsibilities go both ways. I've learned the hard way that being a TO is more than just running a tournament. It's being there for that community. I'll have people call me up, be like, hey, I'm stuck at IKEA with a table that I can't move because my car's too small. Can you come pick it up? Yeah, sure. You're my friend. You come to my events. It's that close of a community that we do that sort of stuff for each other. We take care of each other.
Kind of playing on to that as well, in terms of acting as a TO with all this, and that two-way street of everything. Talking about leadership and just things like logistics and all of this. What have you learned when it comes to those two things as a TO during this time that clearly maybe hasn't, those skill sets haven't been gained anywhere else, but it was through your passion to continue going forward with?
Well, something that you need to is adaptability when it comes to these events. Something I have learned to do is just drop everything on a fly, my entire plan out the window, come up with a new one in 5 seconds. What do you mean every game is going to game five and now we're an hour behind? Okay, well, I guess we're going to have to swap things in our stream queues. We're going to have to move events. Sometimes the venue won't cooperate. We get kicked out at a certain time. They're not providing us the audio equipment they said they would. Okay, well, hey, random guy that I met 4 months ago through Smash Bros. Here's my credit card. Go run to Best Buy and buy the equipment we need. That sort of stuff, right? We
Yeah.
actually had that at Last Breadbasket. I handed my credit card to someone and said, go to Value Village and buy as many power bars as they have.
No,
You know,
I always hear about things like that. It's validating to know that it still happens. It's not uncommon.
one of my favorite stories in this community was they didn't have the PC setups for, I forget what game it was. So they went to Costco, maxed out someone's credit card buying 4 PCs, and then returned them the next day. It's what you have to do to
That
get it done sometimes.
I agree. No, I agree. 100%. No. Wow. Do you have any other stories that kind of matches up to that, or is that sort of
Yeah, that was not one of ours. We have some fun stories from just like traveling and going with the community and stuff like that. What's a
for sure?
standout? Okay, a standout one was an adventure I had to. We spent over an hour and a half driving around Calgary looking for a place that would sell a DisplayPort cable because nowhere sold DisplayPort. They only had HDMI.
Right.
The only place I think that sells DisplayPort is like Memory Express
Huh.
that I can think of, but they didn't have it at Staples. They didn't have it at Best Buy. They didn't have it at Walmart. Every place I went, they're like, no, we don't sell that. So what we ended up doing is calling up one of the players who was at the tournament, being like, can you walk from the tournament back to your dorm room? We will meet you there and we will steal your DisplayPort cable from your monitor.
You do what you got to do.
And we got it done, and then the stream didn't even save afterwards, so it wasn't even worth it. Yeah, we got some good recording.
Okay.
That was a really good tournament, though. One of my favorites that I've ever run or helped run. It was our division in Calgary. We ran an event called the Aftershock.
Okay.
It was at one of the brew houses there, and it was just the most chill vibe. We had a bunch of different side brackets for things like cornhole, Magic the Gathering, ping pong. It was just a place to hang out. It was awesome.
That's great. That honestly, that takes me back to when I first actually just experienced, just grassroots esports for my own self and kind of got me hooked and, leading to this, to what we're doing right now. When I moved out to BC after graduating from Nate back in 2017, it was Prince George in northern BC. Didn't know where it was, had to look it up on a map. Didn't really know. And when I went there was, open house, and there was a local esports company, and they were, had a bit of a demo going of what they typically play, and, kind of live streaming. And next thing I know, I'm going out to different events that they're hosting with Smash and ARMS. That one I got really hooked on.
Really? One of the 4 people in the world.
Yeah. I thought there was so much potential, and yet I'm like, wow, no one's really doing ARMS. Okay, I guess I won't get too excited about that.
That's the thing about motion controls, I find.
Yeah. I mean, it was different. I felt more into it, but Smash, I can't say I'm competition worthy for it, but
you play Min and Smash?
Ironically enough, I'm the most casual gamer of all time for hosting a gaming podcast. So it's slightly ironic, I guess, but at the same time, I came in with a lot of curiosity with the esports space, and coming back to Edmonton, just trying to learn more about it and the ins and outs and different stories like this one. So,
well,
really,
I'm in a similar vibe, right? Like, I am not great at the game. I go 1-2 at best.
Fair. Sounds about me.
Yeah.
Bowser's my go-to.
Heavy mains unite. I'm a K rule.
Love it. No, this is great. So, okay, breadbasket. We've been talking about it.
Yep.
So I think for everyone at this point, everyone's probably wondering, tell me more about breadbasket. So Ethan, pitch to me what breadbasket is all about for someone who's never been to it, never seen it, and maybe hasn't even watched a Smash tournament before in their life.
Well, what our tagline is for breadbasket now is it's Alberta's premier fighting game tournament. What we focus on Super Smash Brothers, of course, that is our first and truest love. But we're including a lot more games this year. We have Rivals of Aether 2, we have Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Granblue, Guilty Gear, 2XKO. Oh, there's one more. The other anime fighter. Sorry,
that
Blaze Blue. Blaze Blue.
There we go. Redemption. There it is. There we go. Quick on your feet.
I did not forget you, Blaze Blue community.
He didn't. Ethan recovered. No, it's all good.
I did.
It's all good. Awesome.
I play Ruby Rose in that one game. There you go. That's my redemption. Anyway, and we just want to create this premier event like you would get in BC, like you would get in Ontario. A place with a lot of prizing, a lot of prestige for winning, huge brackets, a great venue. And this year we have Northwest College as our venue.
Nice.
They were very kind to provide their atrium and stuff like that. So we are able to run in there. Run tables. They're also providing a lot of the PCs for the PC setups.
Nice.
It's so good. It's so nice.
Phenomenal
of them. They're so supportive of grassroots esports and French bred gaming as well. They've actually brought me on as a coach there for their Mario Kart team.
Oh, fantastic.
It's just been a great partnership with Northwest so far, and I'm excited to see where it keeps going. 100%. Yeah, breadbasket. It's if you want to watch the best of the best in Western Canada, you come to breadbasket.
Okay. Well,
that's where they'll be.
There you go. Well, also shout out to Norquest College, dear friends of the show within the Norquest Esports program, Carlo, Jackie,
Yep.
Noah,
Yep.
great team over there, and honestly, great venue choice. Like I was
Hmm.
that was gonna be my follow up question: is where is this happening? Because
Yeah.
when you talk about Alberta's premier event, for Smash, for fighting games, you gotta come up with a good venue to host these things and to have good options, and not feeling too tight or claustrophobic or anything. But
Yep.
no, that's great.
If we're talking about premier locations,
Yes.
I have a connection, but we don't have the price yet. Our long-term goal is to run in Ford Hall.
Ford Hall.
Ford Hall
Okay.
in Rogers Place, right there in that big hall.
I am so glad to hear that, because I've been wondering about the future of esports and Rogers Place. Because
Hmm.
doing my homework even before this show, looking up Rogers Place and seeing esports events compatibility for, the tech that's
Yep.
built in Rogers Place, Ford Hall, the rink itself.
Yep. It'd be incredible. We just don't have the money.
That's fair. That's fair. But honestly, long-term goal, that's the first time I've ever heard someone say on the show here that that's a long-term goal for them. That's fantastic. Ford Hall. So I guess, well, before we move on, so I don't forget about it.
Yeah.
Ford Hall, like, what would you be envisioning if you were putting together, you had the cash flow in hand, you were putting together the proposal, without maybe giving
Hmm.
away too much of the secret sauce or anything, but what would be the a potentially high level ideal scenario of what a French bread gaming event would be there? I'm assuming Bread Basket, kind of the
Yeah.
evolution of Bread Basket
We might
at
rename
Ford
it, but
Hall.
we'll see.
But yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah, it would be like it is now, a premier fighting game tournament. We would
Right.
have every title. We would get official support from as many titles as we possibly could. But we would get tons of setups for each so that we can have potential for friendlies. We could run multiple brackets, things like that. A large prize pool, all the things. A big stage with a big LED wall, professional commentators. There's so many connections that I have and things that I want to do
Yeah,
that I just need to unlock with income.
for sure. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's how
I
grassroots always is.
I feel yeah. I feel you. I'm feel like I'm in the same boat on the podcast front, but I digress. But in the future, if you still tolerate me by then, I'd love to be involved on the reporting / podcasting side of things,
Oh yeah.
down the road with Breadbasket or anything like that. So, I'm not saying that for the show.
Mhm.
I'm legitimately saying that with
Yep.
personal interest, but no, that's
Oh, sounds
awesome.
perfect.
Beautiful. So, obviously we kind of alluded to it. You're not just running just a big event like Breadbasket. You got weeklies in the mix. So, obviously it kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, it started kind of off with the weeklies. So then
Mhm.
what did you learn from that you absolutely needed before kind of taking that attempt on Breadbasket at that particular scale and just continuing to sort of see that evolve?
Well, what I needed was connections.
Right.
That's the main thing. I didn't have any connections within the community. How actually how I got my connections in my first start was I went to a local back in 2022 and I met one of the better players there, and his name always just stuck in my mind. Those of you listening might know him, RM8 or Renton McGlashan. I reached out to him and he connected me with all of the TOs who have run a larger regional event in the past 5 years. He made a group chat with all of us and said, "Hi, this is," introduced me, what my vision was, go. So I got to meet Callie. They're the head TO down in Lethbridge. Chandeleur, or also commonly known as Charlotte Letters. They are the lead TO for Lacombe Dome, which is one of the bigger fighting game tournaments
Hmm.
and they have other fighting games. They have Mario Kart, they have Yu-Gi-Oh, they have tons of stuff down Lacombe there. And I learned so much from them. They're the reason that I started French Bread Gaming as a nonprofit,
Hmm.
because they were showing me the potential grants and city support I could get through that. And yeah, it was just a big learning curve through there, getting to know everyone. And then once I make my impression, they introduced me to more people. So like, yeah, I was introduced to Andrew Silver. He's one of
Hmm.
the best players in Edmonton. And then he introduced me to Mark of GameCon.
Right.
And
Got
then
you.
yeah, Mark
Good guy.
introduced me to Carlo. And then Carlo introduced me
Just
to Ronnie, and then Ronnie introduced me to you. And
yeah.
The chain goes on.
Wow. Well, shout out to Ronnie. I just saw
Yeah.
him the other night at a VR Cave event downtown. I love that. The community is just it's so tight knit, it's small, but the connections, the open doors and everything, that's huge. I love that. Connections are huge, number one. That's so important. As you go between connections, learning experiences, we kind of touched on a little bit of it. You've had a few instances in the past, but I guess I'll give it one more shot on this. There was that one time where literally everything almost fell apart. That, or as I like to call it, a more non-censored version, the oh shit moment of just completely falling apart. Again, from a TO perspective, obviously trying to problem solve on the fly. Is there a particular story during Breadbasket or something
No,
in regards to
actually,
that?
it was during this year's Christmas party. It was very recently.
Okay.
We had a quite a big oh shit moment where we had more people than we expected. But the thing about our Christmas party is that it's a catered event. So I had allotted for more people than we thought. And so I put in pretty much the exact amount of attendees that we had for our catering. But the thing that I didn't realize was that I had offered an option to attend the tournament without the catered food, where they can then go buy their own food. It was mainly just for people I figured who had like allergies or something.
Of course,
But
yeah.
I'd say 75% of the attendees chose that option and just like bought wings or something, got something small because they didn't want to pay the price for the burger or for the catering.
Right.
I ended up losing over $1,000 on that event just through catering alone. They also did a Balatro polychrome times 5 on the catering price because I just used what it was last year as my figures and I didn't realize they had raised the price. So we lost over $1,000. I hadn't been working for 2 years at this point, and all of that came out of my own personal finances. And it was like, well, guys, we might need to shut down. If I don't have any money and we're going to keep losing money like this, we might have to end it. But we had one more event planned, which was our latest bigger event called Victory Road. It was our Arcadian event that we held with Norquest. And we ended up making back pretty much everything we had lost from that event. That event was such a huge success and pretty much brought us back on our feet.
Your heart rate must have just been going up and down,
Yeah,
just beating, and then slowing like back to normal.
I was fighting tears at some points. It was very hard to maybe have to admit defeat.
Glad to see that it's still running. Things are still running. You're still here. You know, obviously not without its ups and downs, obviously, but so much to look forward to from here on out. Obviously, whatever challenges come your way, like it's cliche, but it's definitely, I think everything's made you a lot stronger. And, you know, obviously keeping in mind the financial side of things, like everybody else, when it comes to putting on these kinds of events, because, you know, you don't want to come across those situations all the time. You want to just have that confidence where it's like, here's my credit card, just go buy the damn thing. Like just make it work. We got to make it work. We got 20 minutes.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. Run faster. As you have come along this journey, especially with Breadbasket, and continuing to get through it and you know, find successes with other events to kind of make up for the ones that, you know, obviously had a bit of a loss for you, whether it's, you know, professionally, personally, financially, whatever the case may be, you know, growing as a TO with Breadbasket, you know, at which point within the Breadbasket events did you kind of come to realize, I'm sure it's happened by now, or maybe it still hasn't, I'm not sure, but, you know, when you've kind of looked at the turnout, you've heard the reactions and the feedback, where it's like, you know, this has something to go up against Battle of BC, you know, at what point has that happened yet or not for you?
Happened about a week ago when the head TO of Battle of BC reached out and said, hey, can we run ads?
Okay. Okay. Huh.
And can we give out passes and stuff like that?
So when you get a request like that, what does that mean to you when you look at, you know, because from a provincial level, everyone's kind of competing against each other. So, but when you get a request like that, I feel like the competition kind of goes out the window, where it's like, we're just trying to build this together to put Canada on the map, to put Canada as a serious contender for this kind of thing, where it's like, this is real, this is legit. Like, let's not mess around.
Well, I'm going to talk about the TO of Battle BC. His name is Kevin. He is also known as Deer. He's the director of Galint. I'm sure you know him or
I
know
know
of him
of
at
him.
least.
Yeah, I know
Yes.
of Glint. Yes.
So I'd met him before, and he just remembered me. He liked me. He wanted to reach out, and ever since then we've just kept in touch with our mutual things. Battle of BC was actually having some issues with getting their Nintendo license. And so he was updating me on all of that in order to keep us from making the mistakes they did, that sort of stuff. So yeah, all of especially Western Canada is very united in our scenes like this. Alberta, Saskatchewan, BC specifically, and Manitoba even. Manitoba does support a lot of Alberta players. Sadly, they're running their big regional the same weekend as Breadbasket, so they won't be coming out.
Maybe they'll run ads.
Well, there'll be cross promotion. We'll be
Right,
like, go
yeah.
check out this stream for
Yeah.
Perfect Pivot is what their event is called. So let's shout them out.
No, that's great. Down the road, do you see a thing where, there's more of a Western Canada event sort of thing that's sort of combining, everyone's joining forces for something? Obviously, we have Esports Canada on a national level, but I'm curious, like, are these the breadcrumbs, so to speak, to kind of lead into stuff like that?
There has been ideas floating around of a Western Canada circuit. We did a sort of prototype circuit a couple years ago with the Canadian Brewhouse, where we ran Smash events in every single brew house across Canada. I facilitated that. I gathered all the TOs and stuff like that. And then the winners of each thing, we flew out to Breadbasket 2025. So we've floated around the idea of doing something similar. Maybe without the brewhouse affiliation, maybe with. A lot of brewhouses, as great as the Icehouse is as a venue, some of them aren't that great of venues for esports. It's a restaurant, first and foremost, right?
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
So no slight to them at all.
Oh, no. I every so often when I hear anything regarding esports, brewhouse seems to come up one way or another. It was the same situation, I think, in another instant where it was NHL esports.
Yep.
Brewhouse seemed to be a common denominator.
Brewhouse has always been very interested in the NHL esports. They've wanted to run their local stuff. I know because they wanted me to do it, but it's just never really been able to get legs.
Have you would NHL be on the docket at a breadbasket event?
Pay me enough money, Brewhouse. I'll do it.
That's fair. That's fair. Does it happen on weeklies? Now I'm just curious personally.
No, we don't run Shell
Okay.
on the weeklies or anything like that. We've just been trying to get it going. We have like setup sourced and things like that. And we want to run a kind of similar circuit, but just in Edmonton based with NHL. Find the best Shell player in Edmonton was the tagline and stuff. It might still happen. So I hope I'm not leaking anything. I haven't heard anything about it in months. So.
All good. There's still hope. Maybe there's hope.
Yeah, there's still hope. There's still
if you
hope. If you like NHL, reach out to FBG. Maybe we'll run something in the future. Who knows?
Well, we'll stay in touch. That could be fun. Yeah. Lots is happening, obviously, in the community. Northwest College, case in point, great friend and partner on both sides of this conversation, of course. Building esports teams, varsity teams, programming, drop-in gaming, just a lot of different resources and support and community building. You got GameCon Canada coming in another year in Edmonton, and is, from what I understand, a 5-year extension now. So that's big news.
Yep.
So
FBG is an official partner of GameCon. We'll be at GameCon running their fighting game esports.
Okay, fantastic. That's exciting news. How are you guys feeling about that with GameCon?
I'm a little nervous because it's very close to After Breadbasket, right? They're very, very close to each other.
Right.
So what we're seeing GameCon as is less of a showcase and more of an outreach. What our GameCon bracket is going to be for is geared towards the people who are curious, the people who are interested, the people who want to be a part of the community but don't really know what the best foot forward is. There are some very key members to our community who their first ever tournament was GameCon 2024. And so we want to keep doing that. We want to find these people who are just gamers who are interested and show them the community, show them the ropes, Like, this is what we do, this is how we do it, and this is how much we love it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what GameCon's for.
Oh, that's exciting. I mean, and on top of that, they of course it was announced that there's a new game industry summit that's also coming leading up to GameCon. So
Is that the
that's
one at
also exciting.
Norquest?
Nope, that's the North
Okay.
American Game Industry Summit. Yeah. So new game industry summit co-produced by GameCon leading into their main conference there.
Yeah.
So that's
'Cause
super exciting.
I don't remember, but there's some summit at some point where I've been invited to be a speaker, but I guess I'll get reminded, hopefully, when it
Hopefully.
happens.
Hopefully not a last minute thing. Oh, by the way, you're going to be talking about this and you're on in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, obviously, aside from GCC and Norquest, we've obviously local staples as well, Overclock Gaming.
Yep.
In fact, I think I went there once or twice, actually. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time since I've been there, too.
With some local fighting game meetups there, and hoping to actually have them on the show at some point. And aside from that, obviously provincially, we got Esports Alberta, ASA, as well as more recently in the last couple of years, the Alberta Scholastic Esports League as well.
Productions. It is a group of talented tournament organizers that run Melee, P+, and P and something else. No, it's just Melee and P+. Melee and P+ events. They do incredible work. They are our Melee contractors. Whenever we're running a Melee event, it's with Rose Hall Productions. Jade and Serena, just those two, they're incredible. Then there's the Sherwood Heights Community League. They have a Smash Club that does incredible work out in Sherwood Park. Sadly, their venue is shut down for the weekly events, but they're still very active running at the Colchester Community Hall every second Tuesday of the month. Have awesome events there. They always have Rivals 2, Smash Bros, sometimes 2XKO, and other fun side events. During the summer, it's an incredible time because we'll play kickball or whatever out back. There is the U of A Smash Club. Shout outs to Roman and Devin, who have been taking that on since the other TOs have since set down. And then there's Nate Smash. They are that's currently run by I'm just going to call them by their tags because I don't actually know their real names. Bandage and Waffles.
Waffles sounds familiar, actually.
Yeah, Waffles with a Z. Yeah, everyone's heard of Waffles. Bandage's real name is Alex. I do know that, Alex, if you're watching. But there's just so many Alexes, so...
Love it.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I mean, it's good intel for me, so I know a few more. There's a couple of groups there that you mentioned that I wasn't familiar with, so that's really good to hear and know, because obviously with Good Game Edmonton, I also try and set it up as a resource for community reference of who's who in the esports space, players, groups, organizers, TOs, all that good stuff. So definitely needing to do some updating after this episode for that. So that's
I got more
hear.
if you want to keep it going. There's so many great people who run great stuff. There's give
me a few more and we'll take the rest offline. But yeah, no.
Yep.
What's a few others you could name?
The two big ones I want to name are St. Albert Smash, or they're now St. Albert Arcade.
Okay.
They run out of the St. Albert Alliance Community Church. I don't know if there's community. The St. Albert Alliance Church. They have a great last Friday of every month event, free pizza, ultimate melee, rivals, everything. It's incredible for the community. And then the last one that I really need to shout out is Mason out in Wetaskiwin with the Indigenous Smash League, doing a very good job promoting esports in Indigenous communities, working with the chiefs and things like that. He's been such a pillar to the community and getting an underrepresented group out into esports.
Love that. That's fantastic. Okay.
Oh, Leduc. Last Stock Leduc is a organization that's running out there. They're on a bit of a hiatus right now. They're returning in the summer, but that's run by my good friend Sam. And then I think Spencer is another person that is also working with him on that. They've worked alongside French Bread Gaming before. We've gotten them venues with the Brew House. We work very close. I actually have his monitors sitting right there.
If we're talking venue options for things to host, coming from the broader innovation ecosystem, I would be remiss to not mention Edmonton Unlimited in downtown Edmonton. They've had obviously just recently, this week that we were recording this, a VR Cave event for some VR experiences between VR Cave and their sister org, Basement Bunker Labs, Heroes Together VR, and Hospital of Horror. And we had it happen at Edmonton Unlimited in their space. So they obviously offer entrepreneurial programming for founders and startups in the tech space and the broader innovation space. This is not an ad, by the way. I just want to give you a bit of a spiel. Great potential there for, you know, esports tournaments and things like that. As I know, there was some esports activity aside from the game development, game dev demos and play testing that's gone on. But in terms of esports, there was in fact an esports tournament that I was able to witness there through a event festival called Sea Tribe, and that was part of their gaming arm that they were having over the course of the late summer in August a couple years back. And so great potential. Obviously cost and accommodations and support is obviously things to be worked out, but definitely there's been hackathons and also game jams have happened more recently. In fact, Game Camp Edmonton helping to host Global Game Jam, and just seeing the game jams happen in that particular space, great way to cross paths with other folks and just maybe looking at potential entrepreneurial routes as well, or just at the end of the day, just networking. Are you familiar with Edmonton Unlimited? I guess I forgot to ask you. Yeah,
no,
okay.
This is the first, as you were saying that, I pulled up their website and I'm looking.
Funny enough, former workplace actually of mine a few years back. Yeah, no, it's definitely a space to consider. They've had events in different areas of their space, from kind of small events of just kind of a meet and greet, kind of networking mixer style stuff, whether it's like a esports industry mixer you'd want to do. We got Edmonton Screen that's actually in the same building up on the 6th floor with Ronnie over there. They'd be probably a good collaborator as well for that kind of thing.
Edmonton Screen is sponsoring Breadbasket.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Well, shout out to Edmonton Screen for that. That's the ongoing work and effort to put digital media from video games, game development to esports on the map here in Edmonton. That's fantastic. Maybe look at it as a potential future venue piece, whether it's for Breadbasket or maybe something in between the weeklies and that.
We are looking for a venue to start running a monthly. We were going to use Norquest, but they're not available to run till about May. So maybe if we want to start something.
Looking into the future, that crystal ball of yours, you talk about some of the goals that you want. Ford Hall, with GameCon in the Expo Center, where else could we conquer? In the next 3 to 5 years, obviously the goal I feel is to likely bring a national major Smash tournament to compete alongside these other big events over the course of the next few years. How do we see us getting from that roughly 200-300 regional to something that's Lumi rank recognized type major, that's something to be said on a national stage to showcase Edmonton, but obviously Alberta as well?
Well, our next step, sadly, is sponsor dollars.
Right.
Money talks.
Money talks. Yeah.
Due to the nature of Smash Bros. As an esport, not a lot of esports orgs provide much when it comes to flight compensation and funding and stuff like that when flying out their players. That's something we also aim to do different. We want to provide that. So a lot of times, if you want to get the top players, you want to get them interested, you need to be able to help them on their flight up. You need to be able to provide them with this sort of housing and that sort of stuff. And you need to have a prize worth winning. And of course, you need to have a production that is a high level, that people are watching, so that the eyes are on that tournament for the notoriety of the tournament. So we just want to expand our scope by bringing in better players, by having a better production, by making a better show for people.
Love that.
So that's our goal, is to reach out to places and advertise for them, because we want to put on the best show possible that people are going to watch. Why don't you want your name attached to the best show possible, huh? So
I can't argue with that.
Exactly.
Well, assuming the money comes, we talk about production value, production quality. Definitely can't recommend Kiwi Productions enough. to check that out. I know they've been keen and friends of the show. I've used their studio in the past, but being able to do event production within an esports capacity, I think would be a fun challenge for them. You talk about big LED walls in the background kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's the idea. That's
the idea.
That's what they got going for them over there. So it's definitely on the docket.
There's a couple production companies that got their start in Smash grassroots and stuff like that. Depending on budget and stuff, we would love to be able to use them in the future, just to support the community, right?
Totally. Yeah, 100%.
But someone like Kiwi would be probably a great interim thing if we have a budget for production in the future, but it's like we're not at that level yet.
For sure.
That would probably be a great opportunity.
Yeah, I know.
For both of us.
No, 100%. Yeah. Definitely hit up Bryce and the team at Kiwi there. So for sure. When the time is right, when the time comes. Obviously, a few things jumped out just now that you mentioned, things like funding to support folks that are maybe out of province to be able to come to these events, especially as they get bigger. They're a bigger deal. They're something that people are playing towards to compete, to show off their skill set, and to win something significant, whether it's cash prize plus something else, whatever the case may be. And just with all those supports, if there's potential sponsors, civic leaders, public agencies, or angel investments, a very big thing in Western Canada with Startup TNT, obviously. But, if any of these folks are listening right now, what's one concrete thing that they could start doing this year to help move the needle for this community, for esports, and in this case, to support French Bread Gaming, FBG, to help support this from your lens of what you're trying to accomplish?
Well, what FBG needs right now is, with our esports program starting, is staff. We need player managers for these players. We need people to work the back end and that sort of stuff. And those people cost money. They need payment. I can only do so much working for free for my own company. I have not, in the 2 years of French Bread Gaming, I have not seen a single dollar come to my account from this company's revenue, because all of it's been reinvested back into equipment, back into other staff, graphics, more tournaments, more prizes, that sort of stuff. And what we need is to be able to get people on our payroll in order for them to focus on this full time, to facilitate the growth that we are projecting that can be possible.
Right. So programming, grants, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Perhaps, kind of thing.
Those sorts of things are incredibly helpful.
For sure.
Connections, again, are something that's super helpful. If there's any company out there that visions aligned where you want to create this safe space community of gamers, that sort of stuff, that's what we want to do. And we will promote your product, your business, whatever, within that safe space. I'll tell you right now, the Smash community is the most loyal community you'll ever meet. We got $100 worth of Denny's gift cards for the monthlies at one point. We went to Denny's for 4 years straight because they gave us, that
is commitment.
And the thing is, that entire gift card was all absorbed by one single line: a round of chocolate milk for everyone.
Okay, well, now I got to bring up this story. I'm ashamed to say that it was the year, I want to say 2022, 2023, 2022, 2022. We'll go with that year. I probably have proof somewhere else that says otherwise, but that was the year that I tried chocolate milk for the very first time.
That's crazy. How did you get away with never having chocolate milk?
I mean, growing up, my parents just never bought it.
You never went to a friend's house and they had chocolate milk?
No. I think I was offered it, but I just said no.
Oh, okay. So that's fair then.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I liked it.
It's good.
It's good. It's very good. And now I know what to do if I ever get a Denny's gift card.
A round of chocolate milk for the table.
A round of chocolate milk for the table. Let's do it. Stat. Come on.
Thank you, Silver Andrew.
I have to say, though, if Breadbasket becomes that third Canadian major, which I feel like at this point it's bound to.
We're almost there.
You're almost
this year.
There. It sounds
this
like
year we might hit it. We might just barely scrape that A tier. It'll be hard. It'll be hard.
Well, regardless, let me know how it goes on that. try and stay in touch and everything. But
Of course.
what do you, community is everything. And you talk about loyal fans, loyal community, and the followers, whether they're new, they're just discovering what Smash is about, or just the fact that there was an event, or your loyalists that are coming up to compete. You got folks flying in. What do you hope that people are saying about the Edmonton scene 3 to 5 years from now?
Well, I want people to look back and say, wow, that was one of the most fun events I've ever been to. The community was a community that I enjoyed. I laughed with. I had a good time. They were welcoming. I want us to be welcoming, open, and fun. That's what I want to be known as. Yeah, let me tell you a story compared to this for last year. I don't know how much you've looked into competitive Smash Bros before, but there is a legend in the community, especially Canadian Smash. His tag is Big D. He is an ice climbers player from Vancouver. His name is Dawson, and he's about 6'9",
Damn.
which is why he's called Big D. He's a big man. He came to our event last year, and he won the whole thing. He hadn't won an event in years because he's an old head, right? After the tournament, he comes up to me. He was staying at my house, and he goes, "Chips, are going to the water park tomorrow. Come with us." So I
Okay.
go to the water park with a bunch of group of people from BC. We had the greatest time. At the airport, he gives me a big hug and says, "This has been one of the greatest weekends of my life." And that made me feel so warm inside because, like, not only was I providing something for a community member, this is a community member that I have known for, watched, like, loved his gameplay, loved his story this whole time. And the fact that now I'm able to be a part of it was very heartwarming and very cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Looking again into the future there, 3-5 years from now, we talk about kind of some gaps still in terms of formalities, things like that. What else on that front, in terms of programming or funding, just to help further sustain and grow the community from that side of things? What are you hoping to see more of by that point?
I'm hoping to see more direct support of just esports in general from the city of Edmonton. I would love the city itself to be funding events, and maybe not even funding like organizations, but starting their own events for these things and reaching out to the grassroots community to then run them and pay them in that sort of sense as a contractor. I think Edmonton could be, I know they've unanimously agreed on trying to be an esports hub, but that's just been jargons thus far. As someone who's in this esports community, it's been a lot of talk. I want to see the game, literally.
No, I can vouch for that. Having our current mayor Andrew
Hmm.
Knack, when he was city councilor, had him on the show. We talked about a lot of that. Yeah, I mean, a lot of time has passed since then, and yeah, I agree. There hasn't been much action as far as where the source comes from in terms of where this support is going to be happening through. Remains to be seen. Is it is it the city? Is it the business associations, or is it Edmonton Screen?
Yeah.
Is it these other entities of sorts? We don't know. We don't
Hmm.
know yet. But I
But
would
we'll see.
say we continue to advocate and be loud where we're at.
Yep.
Just promote, tag,
I did meet Andrew Knack at a event he was running. He was at the U of A, answering a bunch of questions and playing Rocket League.
Oh yes, I think that was during his campaign, if
It
I'm
was
not
during his
mistaken.
campaign, yeah. And I
Yeah.
went up there and I talked about my company and what I'm doing, and he seemed very excited about that.
Awesome.
He whooped my ass. He's good at Rocket League.
He's good at a lot of games. I just want to point
Yeah.
that out. He
Yeah.
kicked my ass at Mario Kart, and I mean, mind you, I'm not the best, but again, like I get by where I do pretty good, but I was in like last place and he's just cruising along at first. Felt like I was playing with my brother-in-law. Shout out to Alex, another Alex there.
Yeah, so many Alexes. No, I did invite him to Breadbasket
Okay.
informally then, but also formally through the like contact the mayor of the city of Edmonton mayor website thing.
Before we wrap, Ethan, I will want to just open the floor just quickly here before we wrap things up, as far as where can people find you and stay up to date with everything French Bread Gaming.
Well, our main source of updating people on things like that is our Discord. I'll give you a link to that.
Be in the show
We
notes.
have that and the Alberta Smash Discord. are both very prominent places to see that sort of stuff. FrenchBreadGaming.com, newly refurbished. It looks nice now.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. I will
Thank
say.
you. I did that in an evening.
I'm impressed. We should talk. I need to update my website. I mean, I have more pages probably than you, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a frenzy night of remembering how web dev works.
Okay. Well, that's fair. Well,
there's our Twitter.
Okay.
As well. French Bread. I think it's French Bread Game. I think the French Bread Gaming must have been taken.
Instagram.
We do have an Instagram. It is French Bread Gaming. It's very rarely used. We're going to try to bring it back once we get our esports program started. Seeing that we're going to have some funding for that, we're going to be able to get a graphic designer hired.
There we go.
That should be nice.
Fun. Okay. Well, lots of exciting stuff. Like I said, I'm super excited for the esports program here that's on the way. So I'm sure that'll be a nice new section on the refurbished website. So that is good. Through that progress of the website enhancement, I am happy to say I did add French Bread Gaming to my website under the esports section and events section. So yeah, I continue to try and keep that up to date as I try and go through a bit of a website overhaul at some point or another. But first and foremost, a brand refresh that I'm excited about with a McEwen design student as part of their capstone project. So that's super cool. So I'll be excited to reveal that later this year. So yeah, thanks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I guess before we wrap, is there anything else that we haven't talked about? If there's anything else major you want to mention at this point in time, otherwise I can wrap things up here.
Nope, that's it. Come to Breadbasket. I want to see you there, specifically the person I'm pointing at, or the person who is listening to this podcast.
Over there.
You specifically. I know your name, Jim.
Likely.
I know you're listening.
There we go.
If there's a Jim, he's gonna be freaked out.
Just single out Jim. That's
I want
gyms.
you.
I feel like I'm watching Shores. It's like Jim. Yep. Okay. Good.
That's why that name was at the top of my head.
I'm guilty because I went to the Shoresy hockey night, so that was fun.
Oh, that's so cool.
That was fun. But anyway, well, thank you so much, Ethan. It has been an absolute delight. A lot of tangents, well over time, but thank you so much for everything. It was great to chat with you. Hopefully next time we can get your co-founder on there as well. But
he's a busy guy.
Busy guy. No, it's all good. I appreciate you making the time at least for this. I'm sure we'll touch base in a follow-up later on. But of course, if you enjoyed this conversation, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, or just share it with a friend or your network. You can find more episodes at goodgameyeg.ca. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, Sellarcast out.